Hey guys, it's Alan and welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. Today we'll be talking about my august TBR. So what I decided I wanted to do is I want to try to read 8 books a month because it's kind of realistic unless there's like a huge chonker like a Malazan book or a Stormlight Archive book, in which case I'll probably decrease it to 7. But I want to try to read 8 books and then 1 audiobook per month. And so that's what I'm going to try to do here. So it should be 9 books total that I'm going to give a go at. Now, I don't really like starting series and not finishing them, especially if they're interesting. So I'm going to make sure that 3 books every month are sequels, continuations of series, and 3 books, at least 3, are new series. And then I'm always going to have 1 that my wife chooses, and then I'm going to have 1 chosen randomly, currently by the D&D Minis of Fate. Also on my TBR, I want to read at least 1 sci-fi every month, and I want 1 of the books of the 8 to be chosen by the people watching. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the audiobook that I'm going to listen to for the month. This is actually going to be my first audiobook ever. I have never ever in my entire life listened to an audiobook. So this is going to be my first foray into the realm of audiobooks. Now, the audiobook I'm going to listen to this month is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I am listening to this one because this is the book for September for the Shelf Space Book Club run by Jessie May. And last month they read Malice, and I just didn't have time to read it, so I wasn't able to kind of participate in the discussion. And I definitely want to participate in the discussion this month, so I'm going to listen to this one. I don't own the book, so it's got to be through Audible. This book has a super interesting premise in that the city of New York's 5 boroughs take on personification in avatars. So I guess there's a Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan. Is that right? Are those 5 boroughs? Is Long Island one? I know Brooklyn's, Queens, the Bronx, and Manhattan are 4 of them. I don't know what the 5th one is. I'm not from New York. I'll look. I could have literally looked it up. I apologize, anybody from New York. So that sounds really awesome. And N.K. Jemisin is apparently a really excellent writer. I have not read anything by her up to this point, but I hear people talking about her Broken Earth trilogy all the time. So I am excited to finally get to read or listen to an N.K. Jemisin novel. So next I'll talk about the one that my wife chose, and that is Ashes of the Sun by Django Wechsler. So I just recently got this book, and I have read Wechsler's other adult series, the Shadow Campaigns books, which is Napoleonic War with Demons and Magic. Really, really good if you haven't read the Shadow Campaign series. My wife picked this one because she really likes sibling relationships as well, and she thought it was kind of cool that one sibling is on the side of the Empire and one sibling is trying to bring that Empire down. So she looked through all of my books, it's over 30, and then she narrowed it down to definitely not, and then maybe, and then she went through a maybe pile, and this came out on top, which is good because I had secretly wanted her to choose this, because if my wife chose this, that frees me up a personal choice slot. So I'm super glad that she picked this, and I'm actually really excited to read Wechsler's next book. So now I'm going to talk about the sequels, the continuations of the series that I'm going to read this month. And this is just literally a continuation of the 3 series that of the 2 series I began last month, and then 1 that I had been doing. The first one's going to be The White Rose by Glenn Cook. Super short. This will be an easy read. It'll take me 2 days max to read it. This is the conclusion of Black Company's Books of the North, where they're on the northern continent. The Black Company is 10 books broken down into like mini series of 3, and then 4 for the last one. So this will conclude the Books of the North, and then I'll probably give Black Company a rest for a while I take in some other sequels. So this continues their fight against, this continues the company's fight against the Dominator. I'm not going to really say anything more about it because it spoils the books that came before, but this is one of the sequels I'll be reading. The next sequel, if you watched my videos, you know that I want to read A Betrayal in Winter, the next book 2 of the Long Price Quartet series. I loved Shadow in Summer. I'm still thinking about Shadow in Summer. What I don't know, what a book that just stays with you. I've heard so many times that the books 2 and 3 are so much better than book 1, and I really enjoyed book 1. This takes place 14 years after the first book. Again, I can't really talk too much in it because it spoils it, but if you haven't read Shadow and Summer and you like character-driven novels with interesting magic systems and with an Asian-inspired locale. So many tea houses, guys, and political intrigue that just bleeds out of your eyes. Read A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. So I'll be reading Betrayal in Winter, probably as my second book this month. And then finally, my sequel that everyone knows I was going to put on here is Arm of the Sphinx, Book 2 of the Books of Babel. I can't say anything about this because it does spoil the end of book 1. I have heard that this is very, very different than the first book. I actually, after I read the first book, I wrote the author because I liked it so much. I just wanted to tell him that I really liked it. And he wrote me back and said he tries not to write the same book more than once, so that each book in this series is going to be kind of a different kind of book. And, you know, he hopes I enjoy that as much as the first one. And I hope so too. On Goodreads, this one and the third one, each one has better reviews than the previous one. And so I do like where it is going. I'm wondering how they're going to keep developing the characters after the arc in the first book. But that's really all I can say. I'm super excited to read this. This will definitely be the first book I read as soon as August hits. Then I'll do a review for it afterwards. So, Arm of the Sphinx. Now getting to the new series that I am going to be starting. I'm definitely going to be starting Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. I was gonna read his City of Stairs books first, but this one, more people are talking about this right now, and 2 of my favorite YouTubers were reading this recently. I've heard a lot of really good things about this. Some people don't like it, but most people I have seen really like it. It's got trading houses, it's got a thief, it's got a really cool magic system. And the cover, guys, can we focus on how gorgeous this cover is? And Shorefall's just as pretty. I don't have a lot of really pretty books, so I'm happy that I have this one. I'm eager to read this as my first Robert Jackson Bennett novel, and I'll probably go back once I've read Shorefall and do the City of Stairs books, since that is a complete series. If you've read those, tell me if they're as good or better or worse than this book right here. Next, I'll be reading The Trader's Blade, which is the first book in the Great Cloaks series. Guys, it's freaking Three Musketeers. Guys, they're known by their costumes they wear. It just feels very Alexander Dumas. I mean, it says that on the back. I like the Musketeers. I like rapiers. I like fencing. I like great cloaks. A lot of these you see are in my most recent mini book haul, so I talked about them in that video also. But this just looks so good. I'm hoping that it is good and that it's not disappointing, but I am really, really excited to at least read the first one of this. And if I like it, you'll probably see the second one on my September TBR. I love when people have cool titles. This guy's name is Falcio. It's probably Falcio. He's the first cantor of the Greatcoats. If it was Latin, cantor is someone who sings. I'm not sure he sings in this. I don't know. But they're highly trained in the martial, diplomatic, and judicial arts. The Greatcoats are heroes to all. So cool. I don't know. This seems really awesome. And so the other series, and this is the one that I had people vote on my Instagram. I took all the sci-fi books I had, and I just kind of did a little tournament, and this is the book that won. So this covers both the sci-fi and chosen by people watching. And that's going to be Dan Simmons' Hyperion. I have read Hyperion before, along with its sequel, Fall of Hyperion. I never finished the series with Endymion and Rise of Endymion. I remember this being good, but also super weird. This is a sci-fi. It's 7. I think it's 7. Hold on. Yeah. It's 7 people gathered around the Time Tombs, or the Tombs of Time, and it's guarded by this dude with the spikes called the Shrike, which is one of the coolest names for a bad guy or monster in really any book. And I don't really remember what the Shrike's point is. I don't really remember anything about this book. In fact, when it was chosen, the only thing I remembered is I remembered there was one guy who was like a psychopath, one of the 7 there, and I thought it was the clown. I just knew that there was a clown in this book, and it was the clown that was the psychopath. And then I looked and saw that there's no clown in this book. I have no idea what book I'm thinking of. It's not it. I know who Pennywise is. But there's a priest, a soldier, a poet, a scholar, a starship captain, a detective, and a consul. I swear there was a clown. Maybe it's the poet, maybe. I don't remember, but that seems like the closest thing to a clown, doesn't it? I have no idea. So maybe I don't remember anything about this book, but it felt kind of Rashomon. It's not Rashomon because that book is a bunch of different perspectives telling the same story, but this is like 7 different short stories or little novellas within it. They each tell their story of how they got here and what they're doing, while in between it's telling the story of, you know, the present, but then everything else kind of takes place in the past. So this book won the Hugo Award, which doesn't really mean anything. Books that win awards I tend to not like oftentimes, but I do remember I liked this book. So I will be reading this one and reporting back to you guys how I thought there was a clown. I'm determined to get to the bottom of this. And so for my last book, I will turn it over to the D&D Minis of Fate and see what that last book is going to be. All right, here is the field. Spurgeon, we have 26 Minis of Fate laid out. Over there we got a Kenku, we got a little Water Elemental, Drider, the Beholder, of course, Black Dragon, Ava, Hush. We got a Salamander, Frost Giant, that's a steel horror thing. Then we got some heroes. We got a Warforged somewhere, as you can see. I don't know if you can see all these, but here we have 26 of them. All right, so I changed it up a little bit this time. I got 26 cards underneath 26 Minis of Fate. I got the dog toy right here. I'm gonna roll, I get 1 roll at these Minis of Fate here. Each one of them is on top of a letter of the alphabet. I get 1 roll to knock over as many as possible because the last book on my TBR has to start with one of these letters that I knock over. Now I am discounting articles, so there's no A, N, or the. So for example, The Hobbit starts with an H, not a T. So I get 1 roll to knock over as many as possible. And there are some red herrings in there because I ain't got a book that starts with Z, probably not Y, probably not X. So we'll see. So all right, see how many, focus over there. Here we go. See how many I can get. 1 roll.
Wait, my shoes are in this.
Okay.
No.
I'll move the shoes. They weren't in the original one.
Sorry. Thank you.
I got none. It bounced over. I suck. All right. I did not play baseball. Oh, I did play baseball. I was just not very good at it. All right, kitten. You want to knock some over? Here we go. I get another one. Okay, I got 2 and Spurgeon didn't get me. All right, okay, so I have to choose. Really, in all that I got 2. That's the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. I have to choose a book that starts with H or a book that starts with Y. I ain't got a book that starts with Y, so I guess I'm gonna pick H. So I only had 2 books on my TBR that start with H. One is Hyperion, and the other one is His Majesty's Dragon, the first book of the Temeraire series. Hyperion had already been chosen by my Instagram as the sci-fi book that I'm going to read this month, so I have no choices but to read His Majesty's Dragon. So that's cool. It's friggin' Napoleonic Wars with dragons, so that'll be awesome. So guys, that's it for my August TBR. I've got 9 books. I'm hoping I can get through all of them. August is when school does start back up, so I'm hoping that I'll still have time to read even though I'll be back at work. I can't wait to check out you guys' August TBR, and if you have read any of these books and you want to talk about any of these books, let's have a conversation in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you next time.